Welcome to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast, a free resource for moms raising young autistic children. I am your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created Thriving Moms of Autistics after years of experience working with families and having my own autistic child. I coach moms of young autistics one-on-one to tap into their strengths, create a supportive community, set firm boundaries, and raise their autistic child with confidence. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get to it.
Hi, Mom. I was lying in bed last week and just trying to fall asleep one night, and I was just having such a hard time. My mind just got away from me, and I felt so unsettled. So, in this episode, we're going to dive into how common that is for moms of autistics and why it happens, what triggers it, and how to shut it down and take back your control. So find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com/94. And don't forget to share the podcast with other moms to help them grow in their autism journey. And this might also look like leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or even subscribing to the Thriving Moms of Autistics YouTube channel. I appreciate you. So talk about those negative thought traps and why they occur in moms raising autistics. Okay, so back to those negative thoughts that were keeping me up. I kept playing a possible situation in my head, okay, regarding someone who doesn't have my family's best interest at heart that I can't get away from dealing with, honestly. They don't understand autism. So, it's kind of playing that over and over in my mind. And have you done that before? Okay, that was a silly question because we all have, and it's so miserable. It is awful. Now, some refer to it as thought looping. Okay, you may have heard that before, where you play a negative thought or situation over and over again in your mind. Now, technically, this is referred to as rumination, and it can impact your well-being if you're not careful. So you got to get a handle on it. It's so critical. Now, we've all done this, but I had dumped this nasty habit a long time ago. So it was a little overwhelming when it just kind of popped into my mind again. Now, sometimes these thoughts do creep back in. They do because we're human beings. Okay. And they're actually, and this is what you really need to understand, a lot of people don't, is that when we worry or when we have these negative thought loops, that is a form of controlling. Something feels so out of control in our life or could get control, right? That is what that is. It's a form of control. Now, this is very common with anxiety, especially in moms of autistics. And I used to do it so much more often. Oh, it was just awful. But I broke the habit. I broke it. Now, rumination is when we focus on a problem or a distressing thought, potential problem even. It might be a past mistake or a situation, a possible situation, and that has happened or might happen. We play it over and over on this mental loop. And we feel like we gain control over it on some level, but we really don't. Okay, we don't. Does you no good, I promise. Now, moms of autistics are thinkers. We are planners, yes. And we like to get out ahead of things for obvious reasons, which can make it really easy to get stuck in these negative thought patterns. Now, I want to make it clear, it is okay to be a planner, okay? That is okay. And because we keep our kids safe, right? And we kind of have to do that. But when you start to get stuck and ruminating, it's no longer okay. You gotta make a shift, okay? So the importance of recognizing these negative thought patterns and taking back your power as a mom of an autistic, that is very important. So staying in the negative loop and ruminating, that's problematic for several reasons. And one is that it just feels terrible. It feels so bad and it's not helpful. You deserve better than that. And, especially you need to do things that are more helpful for you. Okay. And moving you forward rather than getting stuck or moving backwards. And that's exactly why I decided to do this segment today, because I know what it feels like. And I don't want that for you anymore. I broke the cycle and I want to help you break it too. Okay. Now, another reason is that it does have an impact on your well being and your mental health. And when we stay in a state of negativity, it makes it very difficult to move forward. So, getting stuck in those patterns also, of anxiety and depression that will impact your child. And I know that you don't want that. And they could smell that stuff a mile away, can't they? It's amazing. They seem like they're not paying attention, but they are. They're taking it all in and they're feeling it. So when it affects you, it affects them. No matter how good you are at hiding it or you think you are. So let's do this. I'm going to give you 4 steps to help you break the chain of a fixed mindset, because that's exactly what this is. It gets you into a fixed mindset. And that's not good. Want your mindset to grow, to grow in your autism journey so that you can thrive. And you can, even when they creep back up, right? Like it did with me, kick it out. So let's talk about this. First is to understand that rumination is a habit and it's a choice. I know that stings. It's hurtful. I'm hurt by it too. But it's something that you've got to understand. It's a habit and it's a choice. So you choose to stay in the negative loop or you, right? The second is to catch it and catch it early. And you're going to get better and better at this with practice. So catch it when it happens, acknowledge it, say, no. Or like my son says, It's exactly what I did. So this can be difficult to do because sometimes in early on, it's a deeply embedded habit. So that isn't always easy in the beginning, but it's possible. And I am proof of that because I can grab onto something in my mind like nobody's business. So I get it. The third is to choose to stay in it or to remove it. Your choice. Kick it to the curb. Kick it hard. And this is so important, use your discomfort. Use your pain because it is very painful. The pain that you've experienced from it and drive your decision to make that change. That is going to be the driving force. That's what motivates us because we want better for us and our child. And in order to do that, it all comes down to the decisions that we make. And this is one of those decisions we can make and flip that switch. But you can't just stop there. You're not done when you say, no, I'm not going to do that. It's just not that easy. You have to change the narrative. And what that means is that, whenever I was in it the other night, I was in it hard. Like it felt so bad. And I felt so anxious. I was just a little ball of anxiety. And I was like, what am I doing? No. And I had to step away from it for a minute to gather myself. And I went to the place that helps me do that. Now, it might not be the same place that you go to. It could be some spiritual beliefs, religious beliefs, um, meditation, whatever you do that helps to calm you down. Okay. And we're going to talk a lot more about that and we have talked about that in other episodes, but that's really important when it gets a hold of you as tightly as it can and as tightly as it does. So this might mean that you're, focusing on something positive in your life, something that is going well rather than what is going wrong or what could go wrong in that moment and what it is. And like I said, that might be God, can bring you back and show you grace. And everybody's different. So it might be reflecting on gratitude. I am big on gratitude because as sad as things can get, there's something to be grateful for. And I knew it and things that you can recognize and be thankful for in that moment and just be here. One of our biggest fears is not being around for our kids. And one way to make that happen is to get stuck in this because it does impact your physical health as well. So recognizing, okay, I'm in a place where I can change it. I can take control of this and I will make it happen. So change the narrative. Once your mind is in a better place, you can take that a step further. Okay. And reflect on what you can control in the situation and how that, all the wins that you're going to get from it, how you can achieve that result. Okay. So here are some takeaways that are going to guide you. I know that is something that you can absolutely do. It's not easy to do, but you know what? You have taken on, raising your child isn't easy. You've overcome a lot of things. I believe in you and I know that you can do this. It's just going to take some time, but you don't have to do it alone, right? So here's some takeaways to guide you in your transformation, because that's exactly what this is. It's a transformation. Out with the old and in with the new that's going to be better for us and for our children. Remember that choices are very powerful, extremely powerful. And when I experienced this last week, I hadn't had these intrusive thoughts in some time, a really long time. But I knew what to do when it happened again, and I made the choice. So remember that it can sneak up on you, okay? Because we are human beings, and that you can squash it, okay? You can squash that habit. However, you catch it so much more quickly once it becomes your habits change. So do keep that in mind. You squash it so much more quickly, which is nice. Now, there have been a few times when I've had to get snippy with myself. And luckily everyone was asleep, but it was in my mind. But I had literally demanded that I knock it off, demanded myself to knock it off, literally, and flat out refused to engage any further in that thinking. And then I reminded myself, I deserved better. I don't deserve to get stuck. And you deserve more. And you deserve peace. Own that peace. I hope this has helped. And I look forward to our time again next week.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other moms of autistics about the podcast. Let's support each other. Find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com. And be assured, you are not alone in your journey.